Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. She would have stolen my time, so I thought I should protect my time here. And anyway, we started late, so we need to catch up. GM Outreach, Mr. Alamgir Chaudhary, Smita, Chairman MDIP and Rector, Lahore School of Economics, Dr. Shahid Amjad Chaudhary, Dean, Lahore School of University of Lahore, Dr. Ejaz, Isam Al-Qarara from UN Industrial Development Program, representatives from leading institutions related to SME sector, delegates who have come from all over the country. Assalamu alaikum. I believe that this is a new beginning and a belated start, but I'm very excited about the future of this platform. Today, academia, business and government have come together to talk about SMEs. SME is one sector of the industry which is all pervasive, which permeates all industrial sectors. It is represented in every district of Pakistan. It employs young people in hundreds and thousands. It generates employment. It reduces poverty. It stabilizes our cities, our residential communities. It builds communities. SME sector forges linkages with other organizations around the world. They bring the world together. They are guarantor of peace and prosperity in the world. They are very innovative. They are facing challenges all around, and in order to grow, in order to develop, they have to be responsive. They are adaptive. They think faster and they act smarter. There are families associated with SME sector, and the prosperity of family, the institution of family is also linked to the prosperity of SME sector. There are technologies which have practices which have traveled from one generation to the other generation, and they have applied those technologies and those practices on the basis of the strength of their family and their core team. I believe that this is the sector which have been neglected so far, and this is the sector which is very crucial to our existence and to our future. Today, if Dr. Shahid Amjad Chaudhary is here, he is presenting a leading institution as well as all the business schools of Pakistan, about 130 in all. These business schools provide human resources to SME sector, and I believe about 90% of the output of these business schools is consumed by SME sector. A good portion of these graduates become entrepreneur at some point in time, or they play an entrepreneurial role. They lead an entrepreneurial life, even if they are working in the organizations for others. So this is very important and very good beginning. This is highly significant for our future, that today business schools and the leading body which is responsible to steer forward the SME sector have come together. which has having the blessing of the government of Pakistan. And there are international donors and representatives also who are the stakeholders. I believe that if Pakistan has to prosper and grow, and if we want to increase the rate of growth of our GNP, if we want to bring prosperity to our cities and semi-urban areas and rural areas, then we have to focus on this sector. I'm very glad that Chairman HEC has offered collaboration for the next conference. And I hope to see a next conference being organized at not just at a national level, but also international level. Because SME, the people who work here, they are constantly engaged with the world outside. They are no more working within their own boundaries. Our SME leadership travels abroad. They sell abroad their products and services, and they import from abroad. So they are at the forefront, and they can enhance our global connections and global linkages. They need guidance. They need advisory. Recently, I was sitting with a restaurant owner, successful restaurant running at Alam Road. And he was telling me that in the last 10 years, he could count more than 40 projects of restaurants, opening restaurants at Alam Road, failing miserably. Each one of them have lost at least 50 million rupees, some maybe 100 million rupees if they prolong with their decline, or even if they are not successful. So that's loss of capital, that's loss of vigor and our entrepreneurial talent. There is no advisory for them, so that lessons learned by one are circulated and others are saved from the same debacle. So this is what we have to do, that all these ventures which have failed at Alam Road, if had they been successful, we would have now 50 more projects, maybe 50 more running successful companies, generating employment, generating resources for the national exchequer, and moving forward to the next threshold. Unfortunately, some of them were so disappointed and frustrated that they migrated with whatever they had left over to outside world, to Canada or Australia. So this is what I think we need to do. I can recall that when information highways were established and ISPs were given license, there were at least 100 failures. People got the license. They invested 20, 30, 40, 50 million rupees, family equity. They sold their possessions and they wanted to start a project, young people, but they failed because their ideas or their ventures were not good enough for the market, and market was moving at its own pace and at its own, showing its own dynamics. So I think what academia can do is bring stability to this market, increase the chances of success of the new startups and new starters, ensure them a positive outcome, and guide them as they move from one step to the other. I've seen SMEs dying when the person who started it is aging. I've seen SMEs not being able to handle their growth and incorporate middle management and diversify themselves at the right time. And they fade away. They become weaker and they were not able to manage their transition from one family, one generation to the other generation, or one set of challenges to the other set of challenges. So we see all of these things happening. So I believe the link up between academia and the SME sector is very crucial, is very important. For us as business schools, it is, I think, where we breathe. It is where we survive. It is the sector to which we are responsible morally and functionally. So I am really pleased to see this beginning. I would like to give credit to SMETA for opening up and establishing this linkage with the private sector and engaging the private sector, because SME is private sector, all of it. And we together, we can offer credible value. We can offer advices. Recently, the chairman of Accenture Japan, who was chairman of Accenture for 35 years in Japan, visited us as a guest speaker. And when I asked him about his experience in Japan, he said that when he started his career as a consultant after education in United States, he felt that there are so many successful organizations within Japan, electronics, automobile, in other areas, textiles, which were facing a deadlock. And his art was to guide them to become global organizations. And he could count at least 40 organizations which were limited to Japan, successful in Japan, but they were properly guided and nurtured to become global. And those 40 organizations have become global now, bringing foreign exchange to Japan, strengthening the Japanese economy, allowing Japan to move to the next industries. And his recipe was very simple. That he raised 3 questions with each organizations and worked with them. That what's your value proposition in terms of goods and services? What would be your supply chain? And what's your risk and return relationship? So if SME is able to manage and respond to these 3 questions every year and develop matrices and strategies to face these 3 challenges, they would continuously move on from one step to the other step. I would like to welcome all delegates who have come from outside Lahore and in Lahore. Lahore wasn't really pleasant in terms of weather just 2-3 years back, but yesterday and today, I think it's getting better. It is hospitable. It understood that there are some guests coming from outside, and I need to moderate the heat. So I'm very pleased. I hope you will enjoy. I know one day is very short for what we want to do, but today we have shown our determination. Today we have shown that we are inspired by the imagination, and inshallah we will continue to work forward and make it a very big and large event next year. I am really grateful to all who have done research. The research papers have been referred to the blind review, and they have passed through those review. Only a selective number of papers are being presented, and this is very important signal that now research in academia is also being driven by the challenges in the SME sector. I am very pleased that the president of South Asia Triple Helix Association, Mr. Abid Shirwani, is also here, because Triple Helix is the same idea to bring together business, academia, and government. And together, if we build bridges, if we develop meaningful partnerships, we will be able to offer value to the stakeholders. Thank you very much.